Welcome to another Founder Wisdom Pod. We have my friend Anthony Garone on the pod. He's an accomplished musician, a YouTuber now this year, serial entrepreneur as well. Always a cool guy to chat with. We chat async via Twitter/X. And yeah, he'll always have some insightful comments. So we're gonna get straight into it. We're just gonna riff and talk about life and new updates. And what's new on your side? What's been going on? What are you doing today?
Well, today it's dealing with the winding down of the rest of the year. A couple of clients are shutting down for the holidays, and so I spent the morning Christmas shopping. I still have a pile of articles that are due, to get done this month, and I'm in AI all day long. It's really, I know a lot of people talk about AI as replacing people. I think of it as I still think of it as a junior employee, which I did about 18 months ago. So it's incredibly helpful in the way a junior employee is. So I'm constantly getting it to do things, and then I have to redo a bunch of what it does. But it I can stay in my system one thinking without entering system two very much, and that just makes my day so much better. So other than that, I bought a race car this summer, and I've just been working on that. I've got some parts coming in the mail today, and so I'm going to be replacing some, they're called push to connect fittings for an oil pressure sensor or sender gauge, all mechanical stuff. So, always got a variety of things going on, and I'm going to be filming a Make Weird music video later today as well.
Right, right. Yeah, the car. The car is quite special. So, yeah, first, every time you go out into this, must be getting like lots of looks. And second, is it even safe? Like I watched the Ferrari documentary, and it looks like a car during that era in which they would flip over and half of their body would be chopped off. Um, is it safe if it flips around?
First of all, the car has a very big roll bar in case it does flip. And secondly, I don't drive fast enough, I think, for it to flip. But there are a couple of nice big curves on the freeway, like an off ramp from one highway into another. And you can take some curves pretty seriously at 85 miles an hour or a little higher. And oh man, the car is just gripping onto the road, and you're fighting the G-force because you're so low to the ground. It's fantastic. It's so exhilarating. But third, yes, it's absolutely street legal. It is perfectly safe. Outside of a racetrack, I've never heard of one of these cars flipping or killing anyone. They're pretty safe. They've been around on the road since 1957 or so. And my car has an engine from 1992. So they did have fast cars back then, but the ones they have now, like the company that's still making these cars, they have one they call it the equivalent of 620 horsepower in a 1,500 pound car. So it can go from 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds. Not the one I have. Mine probably takes 6 seconds or so. It's not that fast, but it feels like you're going twice as fast as you are because you're so low to the ground and completely exposed. Someday you'll get to Arizona, and I'll take you for a ride.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'd love to ride into this. So that's 0 to 60 and six is still fast enough. Like I wouldn't want to go like 0 to 60 in 2 seconds in that car.
No. No.
It seems that you're quite accomplished and you're into so many things and tasting all the colors of the rainbows. But the other day I saw you right that you could do more on the business level.
Oh yeah.
I like people that have a bunch of things in many life areas they're accomplished and fulfilled, but are still like chasing something. Because I think as men specifically and humans, we should always improve and somewhat chase something at least. So, what's your life philosophy and what are you going after in 2025?
I think I'm a lot like you, where what you have, you are very content with what you have, but it's also not enough. It's almost like you could retire today if you needed to, doing exactly what you're doing, and you wouldn't feel like you're really sacrificing your life. but you know that just a couple inches beyond, you could still be reaching and enjoying it. So 2025 is a year where I really want to get serious about revenue. I've spent a lot of the last few years fairly comfortable, and I've settled, I think, for revenue numbers. Like, I'm not a one person company, but $35,000 a month sounds like really good revenue for a small company. But I think I want to be at 50K because the the rug was pulled from under my feet a year ago when the tech layoffs started. So Elon, cut 80% of Twitter, and then it sort of made a lot of other tech companies think twice about their own staffing and their spend. And as a marketing agency, we're one of the first to get cut from the budget. So I want to figure out, how do I set up my business so it's not really a marketing agency, because really it isn't. We write technical papers that help sales happen. So I want to shift that, and I want to increase my revenue by $20,000-$30,000 a month. Right now I'm doing 30 to 35 a month, and it's profitable, which is good, but it could always be doing better. And I feel like if I can get to 50K a month and sit there reliably for a while without any churn or market events or whatever, then I'll be feeling pretty good about the next several years.
What has worked for you this year? I feel that YouTube has been pretty good for you from a passion standpoint, but you're monetizing on that passion as well.
Yeah, YouTube is really, it's funny, the better I get with YouTube, the more I would love to just really dive in. But I've always been the kind of person where if I'm only doing one thing, I'm going to lose my mind. So I got invited to this event by YouTube, this private event at this mansion in Phoenix, which was really nuts. I was one of the few people there that didn't have millions of subscribers. So it was great to be in that community, and it was very inspiring to see how people are doing things. What really I found fascinating was most of them don't run a YouTube channel like a business. They just run it like a YouTube channel. So they don't know how to do things like insurance or hiring people. They don't think about margins and budgets. They're just kind of like, well, how much are these videos going to make this month? And how do I monetize this? And how do I get sponsors? Like, those things are kind of important, but they're not trying to run a sustainable business. They're just like, imagine someone who's living paycheck to paycheck, but those paychecks are really big, $60,000 a month. And they're not really like thinking like an accountant or like a CFO for themselves. There were a couple there that were very successful with about 2 million subscribers, making $50,000 to $100,000 a month. And even there was a woman there with 25 million subscribers, which was really wild. And so it really showed me that there are people even in my own area who are making serious money with YouTube. And I've been gaining over 100 subscribers a day for the last couple of months. And it's exciting. And I'm like, man, if I could figure this thing out, I could probably be doing another 5 to 10K a month with it without a lot more effort than I'm currently doing. So YouTube has been really good. And I feel like it's the purest form of creation and social media. So like, you have a direct line to your audience. They tell you what's good and what stinks. Within an hour or two if your video was good. So I don't know. YouTube to me is like really the most authentic way to be making money, because you're putting yourself out there. You're finding your fans, and with business, you hope it's like timing. Like you're just hoping you find a customer at the right time. They're looking for your services and this and that. But with YouTube, it's just like you could always be succeeding, and there's unlimited potential there. It's really up to you to make a decision of how good you want to get at it and how much you want to get from it.
Yeah, it's really cool to follow your journey. Is the main advice here like follow your passion? Because
No.
no.
Do not follow your passion. I hate that advice.
But wait, you're like this musician, right? So it must feel sort of good to you. I mean, it must be a lot of work to edit all these videos, right? But Me, I'm
Mm.
sort of passionate about business. I mean, business and money. Who's not passionate about that? So that's the thesis behind my channel. Just like you, I started probably 5 years ago, but never put really any efforts into it until this year. What was the key to your success here and key advices?
Well, I've been on it for about almost 11 years now. So I've had a lot more time to learn lessons. And I spent the first several years just trying to tinker and figure things out, kind of like what you're saying. Um, I think when you get serious about it, you really start paying attention to the metrics. I mean, Mr. Beast is obviously the anomaly extreme, but he says he lives in YouTube analytics. He's looking at it all day long. And I think when you get serious about YouTube, it's really like what you're going to film before you film it. You know what the thumbnail and title should be. You have some options in your head, and you can have a sense of what's going to work and what isn't on your channel. So I know when I post a video, it's really a bet against myself. I know this is going to succeed. Like the last couple of videos I put out, I'm like, these probably aren't going to do too well, but I want to put them out. I think they're good videos. And that's the kind of results that I'm getting. But sometimes I put out videos, I'm like, this is a banger and it's going to make numbers. And it sure does. So it's really like, it's a good way of seeing how well you can predict the near term future. My channel's, like if I get under 5,000 views on a video now, I think of it as kind of a failure. And so if I'm not doing 10 to 10 to 20,000 is like where I'm shooting for most of my videos. And if I can hit the 100,000 mark, then I'm really really happy about that. And I've had a few hit. I had several videos this year do 100,000 and more, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It seems there's still quite a strong niche with people that are passionate but with music or musicians themselves. Analyzing,
People, they want to be entertained. That's really what it's coming down
okay,
to. And
not
music is
learning,
just,
just like entertainment.
yeah, learning, as long as it's engaging and entertaining. I think it's the same thing with any other content. You need to engage with people and make it appealing. You can make even really strange stuff as long as it's somewhat entertaining to people. They'll watch it. Tell me what you're trying to accomplish with your YouTube channel.
Well, that's the thing. I was listening to you say 5,000. Like most of my pods get 5 views, and I've
Right.
I've started hacking some stuff for the growth, and I'm trying to educate other entrepreneurs mostly with AI stuff and AI growth hacks. But I
Mm-hmm.
was reflecting on what you just mentioned a couple of seconds ago, and you need to be a Mr. Beast drama queen to grow a channel to that scale, or can you stay like truthful to your values, or it's like a mix of both, sort of?
Well, I would say to get to a channel, like I'm going to hit 40,000 by the end of this year, 40,000 subscribers, and that's like 5 million views. Roberto Blake, he's a popular YouTube influencer. He has a lot of really good statistics to check out on his website and on his channel. And he said something like literally 90% of videos don't even get 1,000 views. So like, I know where my channel is. I'm already in the top something like 5% of YouTube. Like of all of the channels, just having more than 10,000 subscribers puts you way, 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 way near the top. Having a video with more than 1,000 views puts you very close to the top. So you have to start thinking about like, okay, where do I want to be? Do I want to be near the top? Or do I just want to be in the top of my genre or my little, niche? And then you also have to learn, kind of like what I sell with technical content. If you have 30 of the right people looking at your stuff every month, you don't need more than 30, because those 30 people might be feeding you everything that you need.
Hmm.
But if you're playing the numbers game and you want to get ad revenue and memberships, then you really have to grow your channel. And growing the channel it's a compromise. I always say to musicians, like, you're on a spectrum of, I make music just for myself because I love it and I want to like do something that I love. And then the other end of the spectrum is I make music for other people to enjoy. It's not so much about my enjoyment. I want other people to listen to it and enjoy it. And I think somewhere in the middle is where I am. I used to be way on the first side. Like, I make this for myself, and other people like, if other people like it, cool. But now I'm finding that there's literally millions of people who would enjoy really strange music if I just presented in a way that they would like automatically want to click. So I had a video just recently about something called microtonal guitars, and or microtonal music. And do you know anything about music, Charles?
Well, some, but microtonal doesn't ring a bell.
Okay, so you know do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the scale we all know, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And so that's 12 divisions in an octave. Well, there are
Yeah.
people making music with 27 divisions or 31 divisions in an
Freaks.
octave. Freaks. So I made this video about microtonal music, and it got 15,000 views in the first, week or week and a half. And I was like, holy cow, wow, that really, like, you can really appeal to people if you package something right and present information in an engaging and entertaining way.
And was
So
this just intuition, or did you use an AI tool to know that monotonal music was a thing?
honestly, I dig for interesting music several times a week. I think of it as part of my job. And so I came across, well, thankfully my audience is big enough that they also suggest a lot of stuff to me. And so someone mentioned microtonal music, and I found this guy through the comment. And most of the musicians I interact with, I know how to reach either through social media or it's a friend of a friend. And so I was able to reach out to this guy and find out about his music. And he actually works for Conan O'Brien. he makes Conan's podcasts. I think he works for Stitcher, the podcast network, but he works on all of Conan's pods. So anyway, that was just like a funny coincidence that this guy makes microtonal music, and we just started talking. I do this interview just like you have me on, and when I'm doing the interview, I think, like, what are some intro clips that would really capture attention? So if there was like a really cool highlight of this conversation, I would put that right at the beginning and then cut to the actual beginning of the conversation. And I'm trying to follow that formula more so that people watch the first 5 or 10 seconds of the video and they're like, oh, I want to see that. And so I'm trying to, like, take anything that's interesting or novel, package it up so the thumbnail, title, and the first 5 or 10 seconds really deliver on something that sounds cool.
Love that. Yeah, I hope an AI tool would be able to do that. Like Opus seems like everything you mentioned seems easily doable by an AI. Right now, Opus is just like cutting stuff into shorts, putting stock videos in it, B-roll, cutting silences, removing pauses, and so forth. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure they'll deploy that pretty soon because I don't want to do it manually. That'd be the end of my
Yeah,
soul.
well, that's the decision you have to make, though. Like, how quickly do I want to do it? And honestly, I've learned that there's like human subjectivity that matters. Like, people want to see certain faces. So if there's like
Okay.
a reaction in a conversation where someone says something and you react in a certain way. Yeah, no, not so much that. So there is definitely that effect. But imagine you and I are talking and we both burst into laughter about something.
Yeah.
There's something about that moment that you can find and bring it to the beginning of the conversation or put it in the thumbnail. And I think AI is just like that. To me, that, like, that's a level 2 or level 3 type of thinking, and AIs are still at level 1 thinking. So I still think there's going to be a lot of room for human judgment to make that work.
Sure, but editing seems easier. Like the two people laughing at the same time seems pretty easy. As an interviewer, it's harder for sure. And the laughing thing, I'm working on my humor, talking about modes and AI modes. I want to ask you though, like, because we have 5 minutes left, and I want to rapid fire quiz you on 2 new channel ideas that I have for 2025 and 3 agency ideas. And these were both videos of mine that I made lately. And you're the right guy to talk to about these 2 topics. So my first 2 channels, one would be one that already exists. It would be a YouTube channel by itself, 7 minutes hits. So high intensity trainings. You can see some of them on my YouTube. And the
Hmm.
goal would be to use that as a front end funnel to my preventive medicine lab company, which is consulting to lower your biological age, right? It's a longevity consulting business. And I'm
Okay.
going to sass it out later on. So that would be a
Sure.
first one. And the second one would be 7 minutes cooking with Charles, mostly on TikTok, but
Hmm.
also potentially on YouTube. I'm not sure what I promote with that one, but the logic is like I'm cooking on a daily basis. I love cooking and being creative, and people don't have time nowadays. And even 7 minutes would be pretty bad. I think it'd be better to have a like 27-second shorts thinking about it. But what are your thoughts on these two channels? Do you think one or either could work in 2025?
Yeah, I think the hit one is going to be a high potential because we've got RFK coming in with the government, in the new Trump administration. And I think there's just going to be a lot of discussion around what does health mean for a nation. Um, and there's some new video on the End Wokeness channel that was published today where this larger woman is saying, you don't have to be healthy. You don't owe your health to anyone. And it's kind of like, I think there's a big backlash around that. I think you owe yourself good health, and society functions better with good health. I would actually avoid the 7 minute thing. People don't care about length. They care about results and how quickly they can get to them. 7 minutes could seem long to one person or short to another. It's really like it's going to be the format, and it's going to be how engaging the material is and how quickly it pays off for people.
Because it's
So
going to be a live follow along workout, by the way, just so you know.
well, that's great. But if you do, like, my wife does a lot of the YouTube yoga, like she just follows
Yes,
other
with
people doing yoga.
Adrian.
Yes. And so I think I would look at what those channels do. I really am skeptical about length because, as far as I've seen on YouTube, the longer you go, the more successful you can be.
Huh.
And a lot of videos, if they're under 10 or 15 minutes, people don't take them as seriously. But if they're 30, 40 minutes, then like real hardcore people are going to invest in them. So you could make the 7 minute version, but you could also do a 30 or 40 minute version and make that like a paid subscriber option, or it's behind I don't know, some other tier or gate or whatever. So I would avoid the 7 minutes just because I've learned I can do an hour of myself listening to music and it gets 100,000 views in a week or a week and a half. And
Hmm.
a 10-minute video about the same subject might get me 2 to 3,000 views. So
Are your videos follow along though? Do people like pull out their guitar and try to shit your thing to them?
yeah, I went to a concert 2 nights ago, and a guy who was in attendance came up to me and he said, "Hey, I just want you to know I learned how to play these two really difficult songs because I just watched your channel and I sat down with my guitar following along with what
But
you
that's why
do."
it's genius, your thing. That's one mode. Like there's not a lot of channels that are that way. Let's say my content, right? Most people, I guess, would be sort of bored, or maybe they would listen to it in background while working, right?
Right.
Huh. Interesting. Okay, let's go with the three agency ideas I want to start for next year because we're out of time
Okay.
already.
Yep.
First one, SEO GPT. So it's like SEO but for ChatGPT. Second
Okay.
one, LinkedIn content agency. Lots of competition, but still low hanging fruit for me. And a third one, a consultant that is like a mystery shopper, but for SaaS. So I'm testing all their systems. I'm outreaching to them like, hey, here's some bug that I found. Hire me on your payroll for 10 to 100K per month. And I'm going to fix all of these bugs, whether it is shitty salespeople not doing their discovery call the right way, the customer service not being good, UX bugs, etc. So these are the three.
I would rank them in order of two. Like the second idea is the strongest. The first idea is less
So
strong,
LinkedIn
and
agency first,
yes, and SEO.
second.
Yeah, SEO second, and then the secret shopper thing. I actually don't think customers care, or I'm sorry, I don't think companies care if they have
Huh.
great experiences. If they did, they would vet them more, and your service wouldn't be necessary. And
Wow.
secondly, for a company big enough, why would they be big in the first place? Like, they're already winning. So it's really an issue of saturation, and they're hitting glass ceilings, but that would be up to their product experience team to really work out. So I just
Hmm.
don't think number 3 will pan out to
Okay.
anything. The SEO agency is interesting, but I see tools like Positional. I don't know if you know them, but I use Positional, um,
Yep.
and they're really smart. They come out of Y Combinator, and
Positional SEO
I think it's positional.ai.
or
Um,
.com.
yeah, maybe
Okay, I
.com
got
too.
it off Ycom. All right, I got him
Yeah,
here.
so
.com.
I think there's already going to be companies that are good at SEO that'll be incorporating AI features. And secondly, on that idea, I think SEO is it's not a dying industry. I think it's just really like it's not one worth competing in
Okay.
for the most part. And
Hmm.
then that LinkedIn content thing in the next year, or well, actually 2024 was a big year for LinkedIn influencers. And so I don't see that changing. And I think given the way the market is and how many executives I know either stuck without work or desperate to find another job and just can't, I think anything that will help them get an upper, get whatever, get some leverage in the market for themselves to position themselves and leverage their own capabilities, whether it's through AI content or whatever. Um, I think that could be very popular, but it's a B2C service, so you might have some trouble monetizing that in a meaningful way. B2B is where the money's at, but you're unlikely to find a business that's going to want to pay for that for their own executives who could just end up leveraging that platform and leaving.
Last but not least, what other tools do you have like positionals that are relatively unknown but that you swear by?
Actually, this is kind of crazy, but the number one tool I use, it's called the rich. It's the words rich text to markdown with hyphens between them. Rich text to markdown.com. I use this with ChatGPT all day because you can paste any sort of rich text document into this, and then you click the copy button at the top, and it copies Markdown to the clipboard that you can paste into ChatGPT. And ChatGPT is great with reading Markdown, but often I want to paste in entire articles, stuff that I'm writing in Google Docs or whatever. This is the in between, the middleman tool that I use all day to get markdown content straight out of my Google Docs and into ChatGPT. So this is a free tool. I use it all the time. I use an open source plugin called YTDLP for downloading YouTube videos through the command line, and then I'm using Descript for transcription. So just a lot of text movement, downloading videos, transcribing them, putting them into rich text, and putting them into Chat GPT, building articles, case studies, white papers, all that stuff.
Hmm. Interesting. I
And
didn't even know
Positional
what
helps me
rich text was.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you start using this, it'll change your whole workflow for ChatGPT. It just gives ChatGPT the intelligent context it needs when you're handing over an HTML, article or something.
Interesting. Where can people find out more about you, Anthony?
AnthonyGarone.com, but really my Twitter is probably Twitter and LinkedIn. Just look up my name. I'm easy to find. I'm on everything.